Hi everybody, Bob with Knives Town here. Today we're taking a look at a Buck 110 folder, that American classic made by Buck. The company is the measure of a knife since 1902. That's a name you can trust, a brand you can trust, knives you can trust. Comes with a black leather sheath. Let's take a close-up on that. It's it's just kind of a general service sheath. It's made out of a good thickness of leather. Comes with a belt carry loop. It's stitched around and riveted here and here. It does have the Buck logo stamped on it, and it is made for the 110. Fits in there. I mean, if you want to, you can EDC carry this knife in your pocket if you want, or if you want to carry it on your belt, if that's more convenient for you. You've got a sheath to do it, or you can just use the sheath as storage to protect the knife. If you're keeping it in a toolbox and you don't want it perhaps rolling around with other tools, or whatever. It's just a good extra piece to have. Okay, the knife itself. Opens with a nail nick. It's a lockback knife, and that's a classic, American classic pattern. It's made here in the USA. It is the most imitated knife pattern in the world. Technical specs on that: the knife blade is 3 3/4 inches. That's a clip point blade, hollow ground, made of 420 high carbon steel. Now that steel that Buck uses, they use that on a large percentage of their knives, and it's a great everyday working steel. Buck does make some high-end knives, but most of their knives they make are general duty, everyday type knives, and that's a great steel for that kind of use. It'll take an edge. It'll take a very keen edge. In fact, that's very sharp out of the box. That's a good sharp blade. It sharpens up easily. It does come with a flat spot here if you're using the clamp systems, so that makes it easier. And that clip point pattern is probably the most general duty, general purpose pattern that I know of. You can do pretty much anything with it. It's not specialized to any one kind of a job. It'll do pretty much anything you need it to. So that's a great design. The handle is a frame of brass. The bolsters and the frame is all brass, which is, cosmetically it's very pleasing to look at. It does have sort of an old school type of a look to it. You don't see that much anymore. It just harkens back to to a day when when knives were made this way, and it kind of has a timeless appeal to it. The body of it, the thickness, is 5/8 of an inch thick, and the scales are made of diamond wood. Now, if you're not familiar with diamond wood, what that is that's an engineered wood. It's produced by taking layers of hardwood veneer, putting dyes and resins on them. Dyes, stain really, and then phenolic resin, which is a clear hardener, and then another layer of veneer, and so on with the dye and the resin at each layer, until you've built up a layer of material. Then subject that to high temperature and pressure, and what you get is diamond wood. It's a material that is stronger than any wood that occurs naturally. It's stronger than ironwood, yet it still has all the beauty of wood. It doesn't lose any of that tone or warmth of wood, but but as far as wear and tear properties, it's like a hard plastic or something. So it's a really good. They make gun grips out of diamond wood. Many good uses for diamond wood. That's what you've got there, so you know that the knife will last a long time. And one thing you're probably noticing as I'm showing this to you is the fit and finish of this knife. You know, you can see here, I mean, this is just a good example of the way Buck builds their knives. You know, everywhere that a part mates up against another part, you can see there's no gap, there's no overhang. You can run your finger across the seam and it's perfectly smooth. You know, same thing back here. There's no feeling of seam as I feel back there. On the back spring, now keeping in mind that this is a moving part. That back spring there's not a gap, not a variation in there. Where it mates up against the blade, it's practically invisible. Same thing with at the bolsters. You know, it's just well made. It's just high quality. It's Buck quality, and yeah, that's what I wanted to emphasize to you. This is a nice knife. It's a nicely made knife. It's certainly an American classic. I mean, the history on this knife, if you're not familiar, it was introduced by Buck in 1964, which that alone is impressive. I mean, we're coming up on 50 years of continuous production of this knife. That's more than most knife companies have even been in business, let alone to have a single model in continuous production for that long. But you know, it really did revolutionize the knife industry at that time. It was particularly with the lockback. Now, this was the first knife introduced that had a locking mechanism that people could trust, that really simulated fixed blade knife performance. And you know, I mean, up to that time, yes, there were locking mechanisms, but they were sort of looked askance at, not really trusted, I don't think. You know, it was, you know, the fear was, well, it's not going to hold, it'll fold up on you and cut you. But when this came out, the lock was serious enough that people realized, wow, you can make a lock and it can really work well. And I think that opened up the gate for different types of lock technology, which, you know, we've got hundreds of different locks now on knives. But you know, once people saw that it could be done, then more people wanted to do it and do it in different ways. So it's really responsible for a lot of development in the knife business. It's the most copied knife pattern in the world. It's worldwide recognition. Over 15 million of these have been sold. And you know, like I say, it's got that pattern and that look there's nothing you can't do with it. It's not specialized. It's just a general purpose knife. It's sort of a everyman's knife, workhorse type of a knife. And that's a great product, great American-made product. Comes with sheath for carry. That's the Buck 110 folder. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you again.